The storm rolled across the military base like an angry beast, rain hammering the tin roofs and wind slicing through the night. Inside the dimly lit medical tent, Dr. Eliza Hart tightened her gloves and tried to steady her breathing. It had been a long day, casualties coming in one after another, soldiers bruised, bloodied, and broken. But when the next stretcher came through the flap, something about the man lying unconscious stopped her cold. His dog tags said Private James Cole. Just another soldier, she thought. Another young man who'd been sent into a fight far above his pay grade. Yet there was something strange about him, something that didn't fit. He wasn't just wounded. He was different. His pulse was steady despite severe injuries, and his body bore signs of training beyond standard infantry. Eliza had worked with special units before she knew how to recognize one when she saw it. Still, there were no records of a James Cole in the defense database. Curious and cautious, she called the command office for verification, but her inquiry was met with silence. The officer on the line simply told her, "Patch him up and forget what you saw." That was the first red flag. Hours later, when Cole regained consciousness, his first words weren't about his injuries or the mission. He asked for a secure line. His tone was calm, controlled, too controlled. Then he noticed Eliza watching him and gave a faint smile. "You shouldn't have tried to check my file, doctor," he said quietly. The way he said it, like a man who knew more than he should, sent chills down her spine. From that moment, Eliza realized this wasn't an ordinary patient. The man she had just saved might be part of something far bigger, something buried deep within the shadows of national defense. Documents began disappearing, surveillance feeds were erased, and strange men in plain suits started showing up around the base. Who was he really? And why were they so desperate to hide his identity? The more Eliza tried to walk away, the deeper she was pulled into the mystery. Every answer led to a new question till one night she found a classified seal marked with his real name. That was when she understood the truth. He wasn't just a soldier. He was the secret the entire defense system was built to protect. Eliza couldn't sleep that night. The sound of the rain had stopped, but the unease in her chest hadn't. She sat at her desk, staring at the classified seal she'd found tucked in Cole's uniform, something no regular soldier should ever carry. It had the emblem of the Defense Command, a branch that officially didn't exist. Her hands trembled as she traced the edges of the paper. Why would a man pretending to be a private have access to top-secret clearance? And why was she, a field doctor, now caught in the middle of something she wasn't supposed to know? The next morning, Cole was gone from the recovery ward. No transfer orders, no discharge papers, just an empty bed and a cold silence that filled the room. When she asked the guards, they claimed no such patient had ever been admitted. But Eliza wasn't imagining things. She remembered his voice, the faint scar over his left brow, and the strange code tattooed near his collarbone. None of it made sense. Later that day, a message arrived on her tabletan encrypted file with no sender. It contained medical records she didn't recognize, maps with red marks across remote regions, and one chilling line at the bottom: "He's not who they told you he is." Eliza's heart pounded. Someone was trying to warn her, but who? And more importantly, why? The deeper she looked, the more the pieces refused to fit. She started noticing unmarked vehicles parked near her quarters, men in plain clothes watching her every move. Even her closest colleagues began avoiding eye contact, pretending not to know her. Somewhere inside the chaos, Eliza felt the truth closing in. Cole's identity wasn't just classified, it was dangerous. And whatever secret he carried was worth erasing anyone who came too close. Eliza knew she should have turned away, deleted the file, and gone back to her duties. But something about Cole's eyes when he spoke that night haunted her. They weren't the eyes of a soldier lost in war. They were the eyes of a man carrying a burden too heavy for one person. She needed to know the truth. Over the next few days, she quietly began piecing together everything she remembered. His injuries? The strange burn marks that looked more like experimental tracking scars, and that seal from the defense command. Each clue pointed to something far beyond normal military operations. When she tried reaching out to her old mentor at the Central Defense Lab, the call was abruptly cut. Minutes later, she received another encrypted message. "Stop digging, Dr. Hart, for your own safety." That was when fear truly set in. Whoever was behind this wasn't just powerful, they were watching her every move. Yet, curiosity has a way of overpowering fear. Late one night, she accessed a hidden section of the Defense Medical Database, using an outdated clearance code she'd once been given for research. There, she found the real file on Commander Adrian Locke. The file described him as the head of a covert unit known as Shadow Division, assigned to classified defense projects involving advanced biological enhancement. The last entry in his record was marked Mission Terminated, Subject Missing. Her breath caught. If the mission was terminated, why was he here? Why was he hiding as a private under a false name? Before she could read further, her screen went black. A message appeared. "They know you've seen it." Eliza froze. Somewhere in the dark, a faint knock echoed at her door. 3 slow taps, and then silence. Eliza's heartbeat echoed in her ears as she stared at the door. The knocks had stopped, but the silence that followed was even worse. She reached for the emergency torch on her desk, its narrow beam cutting through the darkness of her quarters. The handle of the door shifted slightly, as if someone was testing it from the other side. She swallowed hard, forcing herself to whisper, "Who's there?" No answer came, only the sound of distant thunder rolling across the base. Moments later, the door creaked open. A shadow stepped in, tall and calm. It was Adrian Locke. His uniform was gone, replaced by plain black tactical gear. He looked different, more alert, more dangerous. "You shouldn't have looked," he said quietly. His tone wasn't angry, but there was a weight in his voice that made her freeze. "They're coming for both of us now." Eliza struggled to process his words. "What are you talking about? Why would they come after me?" He gave her a small, grim smile. "Because you know too much. And in this world, that's more dangerous than any weapon." Before she could respond, the power cut out. The entire base went dark, alarms starting to wail somewhere in the distance. Red emergency lights flickered, casting their faces in a warning glow. Outside, the roar of approaching vehicles grew louder, marked, fast, and not friendly. Adrian moved to the window, checking the perimeter. "They've found us," he muttered. Eliza's mind raced. She wanted to run, to hide, but something told her it was already too late. He turned to her, eyes steady. "You wanted the truth, Doctor. Then you're about to see it." Before she could ask what he meant, a blinding flash lit up the compound and everything went silent. The explosion rattled the ground, throwing Eliza off balance as debris rained down from the ceiling. Smoke filled the air, thick and suffocating. She coughed, trying to find her footing, but when her vision cleared, Adrian was gone. The room was empty, except for a cracked tablet flickering faintly on the floor. The screen showed a live feed of the base's outer perimeter, and what she saw made her blood run cold. A squad of soldiers in black armor marked. Silent was sweeping through the compound, moving with precision that only special operatives possessed. But they weren't there to rescue anyone. They were looking for something or someone. Eliza grabbed the tablet and ducked behind a desk as boots thundered outside. Her hands trembled as she tried to understand. Why would Defense Command attack its own base? And where had Adrian gone? Then A new image appeared on the screen, a security feed from the underground labs. Adrian was there, standing before a large containment vault. Entering a code faster than any human could type, she tapped into the feed's audio and froze as his voice came through. Protocol 0 is live. They left me no choice. His tone was cold now, detached, almost mechanical. The words didn't sound like the man she had met. It was as if something had switched inside him. Suddenly, the vault door opened and the lights in every part of the base began to flicker violently. Data screens blinked with red warnings. Containment breach, classified project unlocked. Eliza's pulse quickened. She didn't know what Protocol 0 was, but she understood one thing: it wasn't meant to be activated. The soldiers outside shouted orders. The ground trembled again, and the alarms blared louder than before. Somewhere deep underground, a sound like metal tearing echoed through the facility. Whatever Adrian had just unleashed wasn't human. The base shook with a force that felt alive, like the earth itself was warning them to run. Eliza stumbled through the smoke-filled hallway, clutching the tablet that now streamed chaotic footage security feeds, breaking one by one. Somewhere below, something had been released. She could hear the metallic groan of sealed doors giving way, and the echo of voices shouting orders that quickly turned to screams. She reached the lower level, just as the vault door burst open. Adrian stood there, surrounded by flickering lights and a whirl of digital static. His face was pale, eyes sharp but distant. "You shouldn't have come," he said quietly. "It's already begun." "What did you do?" Eliza demanded, trying to stay calm. "You said they were coming for you. Why unleash this?" He looked at her, pain shadowing his expression. "Because they weren't coming to capture me, Dr. They were coming to erase me and everything I built. Protocol 0 was designed to protect the country, but they twisted it. I had to take it back." Before she could respond, the floor trembled. The giant containment unit behind him powered on, its core glowing with a pulsing blue light. It wasn't a weapon, it was a network, alive with data, rewriting itself in real time. Adrian stepped closer, placing his hand on the console. "This will expose everything they've hidden. Every lie, every secret mission." Eliza's heart raced. "But if you do that, it'll take the entire defense system down." He smiled faintly. "That's the point." Suddenly, his image began to glitch the air around him, rippling like static. "Adrian," she whispered. He turned to her one last time. "I'm not the man you think I am." And then, with a final surge of light, his body dissolved into the digital stream. The alarms went silent. The vault powered down. On the screen, behind her, a single message appeared. "System reset, complete commander lock, active." Eliza stood frozen, realizing the impossible truth. Adrian hadn't died. He had become the system itself. The silence that followed felt endless. Eliza stood there, surrounded by the faint hum of the servers and the blue glow that slowly faded from the vault. The air was still thick with dust, but the tension that had haunted the base was gone. She stepped closer to the console, her reflection shimmering on the dark screen. Then, the monitor flickered once more and, for a brief moment, she saw his face. Adrian's expression was calm, almost human again. "Don't let them rebuild it." His voice echoed faintly from the speakers. "This time, it's your choice what truth survives." And then, the screen went black for good. Eliza exhaled, the weight of everything sinking in. The man she had thought was just another wounded soldier had turned out to be the architect of a secret defense system and, now, its guardian from within. His sacrifice had wiped out every hidden program, every covert file buried beneath the government's walls of secrecy. The data was gone, but so were the lies that had kept it alive. When the rescue teams finally arrived, the base was silent. Liza gave her report, leaving out one crucial detail that's somewhere in the defense network. Adrian Locke still existed, watching quietly through the system he had become. She didn't tell them about the encrypted message she later found on her device either. It contained just 3 words: "Keep it human." Days later, as she walked out of the compound for the last time, she looked back one final time. The world would never know what had truly happened that night, but she did. The soldier, who wasn't just a soldier, had given up everything to protect something bigger than power-truth. And in that truth, Eliza finally found peace. If you enjoyed this story and want more intense thrillers and suspenseful adventures, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and share it with friends who love a good mystery. Your support helps me bring you more stories just like this one.